Hello mates and welcome to the Baron Reviews with me, the Baron. Today's game is Deisim, a VR god game for the Rift and Vive by developers Myron Software. It's neither black and white nor populist, but that's okay because Deisim actually manages to carve out its own identity as a god game somewhere in between. Actually, on the surface Deisim kinda makes me think of Goddess, except this is actually a good game. And in fact, one mind-blowing consideration is that, even in its current early access stage, Deisim is already a better game than Goddess, despite being made by just one guy. So anyway, the emphasis is on the placement of land tiles that you use to shape the environment, which then leads to tribal villages popping up. The villages will then use the environmental resources you've placed down to grow and prosper and eventually evolve into small towns, leading to more believers and more mana. Although indirect interaction is mainly how you grow your world, direct interaction is also possible too, such as picking up villagers and buildings or casting spells directly on things to either help or hinder the villagers. Towns will inevitably begin to spawn heretics, who, if given too much leeway, will convert their town into a heretic fate, eventually causing them to wage wars or conquests on their neighbours. To deal with this, a good old dose of fire or locusts can convince the heretics to err off their ways and show them that yours is the true fate. This game is more substance over style, so the graphics and audio are functional but quite simple. The graphics utilise simple polygonal models, nothing fancy, though it does give the game a quirky feel, and actually, when zoomed out it looks quite nice. Sounds are also fairly straightforward, with good sound effects for the miracles, though a little audio tweaking could be in order for some of the game's miracles, like the locusts feel quite loud comparatively. The main song that plays in the background is nice, but plays in a loop, which can get a little wearing. As a nice little touch, I love that when zooming down to town you can hear the town music playing. The animations in the game are super basic, and oftentimes a bit glitchy, with villagers sliding through terrain or buildings and so forth. I would imagine that this is something that will be improved throughout early access, but I'm not too concerned because even in its current state, the simplicity in the animations don't actually detract from the game for me. Generally, I just love to see super slick animations for no reason other than it look cool, be it fighting or harvesting or whatever. Of course, as mentioned before, this game is made by just one guy, so who knows if such a thing is even within the scope of development. The current controls are probably my biggest gripe right now, which is not to say the controls are bad, but rather I hope they'll continue to be improved as the game develops. Originally the game only had a teleport and 3 tiers of height you could switch to. I actually didn't like it at all, but in the recent update, new locomotion options have been made available that utilise the motion controllers. Using gestures such as pushing or pulling the controllers, the player can smoothly raise or lower his height, as well as rotate, and moving can be done by dragging yourself across the map. These movement options are much better and feel far more intuitive than the default teleport. But where the improvement could come in is that because these controls are only recently added, they're still a little bit wonky and could use some tweaking for sure, but it's absolutely a step in the right direction for the movement scheme. Beyond that, grabbing and throwing villagers can be a little bit niggly at times, just another one of those things that could use a little TLC in a future patch. I found my VR comfort level experienced no motion sickness with the current locomotion options. The worst motion is probably the rotation, but even that's not too bad. Good to note is that thanks to the drag and move option, this is one of the few motion controller games that you can play comfortably while sitting down. Finally, $8 is a good price for what the game currently has to offer, and may make for a very good early access investment. The game is a sandbox only experience right now, and that's fine, but it leads me to hope to see more tile biomes, miracles and other features to be added to keep the sandbox interesting. I'd love to see the game develop to a stage where your followers could build massive capital cities with walls that could be sieged, or maybe grow large enough to create kingdoms or empires that wage massive wars against each other. The developer has a fantastic community presence and interacts with his fan base on the development of the game, so with so much potential, I can't wait to see where the development goes from here. So that's it from the Baron. If you're interested in this game, you can find it in the link below, and if you like this review, please remember to like and subscribe. Until next time, cheers.